Sunak joins with Meloni to tackle illegal immigration. The Prime Minister has joined forces with the Italian PM to campaign for a crackdown on illegal migration. What do we think about this, Rebecca Jane? I know that it's a really important issue for UKIP, Stop the Boats. Do you think that the PM is going to have to do it with the help of European leaders?
He's not going to do anything, is he? This is nonsense. It's more nonsensical bananas from Rishi Sunak. All he does is go and fly around the world and try and be nice to people and actually gets nothing done. Literally nothing. He's cuddling up to Georgina because obviously she is sort of what we want to do here in the UK, and they've done the whole...
And you're probably quite an admirer of Meloni, I would have thought.
Yeah, a little bit. There are some of her policies that I'm like...
she's a family values conservative, isn't she?
Yeah, she goes a little bit too far for me, but he's trying to appeal to that centre-right side of us by making it look like he's actually going to do something, and by cuddling up to them. He's not going to do anything. And the fact that he's trying to do this whole trade deal with India, I just think he's absolutely... He's gone on record and says that he wants to move there and he wants to, you know... What is he doing it for?
So you think he's got a conflict of interest negotiating a trade deal with India?
He's complete and utter puppet.
But wait a minute, you're the biggest Brexiteer of all. Surely you should be salivating at the idea of a trade deal with India and its population of 1 billion people.
I don't trust a thing that he does or a thing that he actually says. I think that what needs to happen is that somebody who actually genuinely believes in what we want to achieve needs to be in power, and he is not the person because he's being controlled.
What do you think? What do you think about this, Rakib? Interesting intervention from Lord Sumption this week, formerly the country's top lawyer, saying that with a heavy heart he thinks that Britain should leave the European Convention on Human Rights in order to stop the boats.
Well, it would be a very dramatic development, but the reality is that the ECHR has fundamentally intervened in the democratically elected UK government's immigration and asylum policy. So I think there is a discussion about how much national sovereignty do we truly have when it comes to immigration and asylum in the post-Brexit context.
But do you not think the ECHR has been a political football, and do you not think that, given it's an advisory court, we could ignore it anyway?
Well, the reality is that it's been able to thwart immigration and asylum policies that the UK government is looking to implement. I believe that it grounded the first flight which is intended for Rwanda. Now, listen, I think we can have a separate debate in terms of how do you really tackle illegal immigration, especially the small boats emergency. Sunak pledged to stop the boats. That was one of his 5 main pledges. At the moment, he's failing.
They've all done it 5 times over.
He is failing miserably.
Chris, what do you think about this?
Yeah, for me, there's no solutions, and I'm kind of intrigued to see what you think in particular.
No, absolutely.
What are the solutions then? What are we going to do? And it's just...
I think a big thing, Mark, if you allow me to make this point, I think it's very clear to me that the line between genuine refugee and economic migrant has become increasingly blurred in recent times. Now, the government is very good at saying, we believe this is an illegal migrant, but they have to offer, you know, their view on what constitutes a genuine refugee. Because what it does then, it strengthens their own moral standing.
Better screening.
Absolutely, and I think they need to have very clear categories in terms of who they believe are the world's most persecuted.
Well, people are talking about creating safe and legal routes. Can't argue with that. Well, 1.2 million people entered the country safely and legally last year. So those routes exist.
Yeah, they do. And this is the problem. So how do you solve it? It's really simple. So, obviously, we've gone a little bit off tangent here. You have a hard border in the sea. You don't let them get to shore. You stop sending all of our money to all of these different countries. How
do you do that, though, without creating... without breaking international law and without suffering sanctions globally and possibly public humiliation?
No, we have to do something because we are in crisis. We have to start looking after our own country and our people that are here now. This is not about race and it's not about space.
I didn't say that.
Before we even go
I'm
there...
sorry, but I work with kids who come off these boats, and I'm sorry, you know, the persecution...
Genuine cases are a little bit... they are completely and utterly different, but the problem is those genuine cases are being completely... What's the word that I'm looking for?
Mark, I'll make this point. Mainly with the small boats emergency, it's primarily adult males.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll make this point
Albania,
that women and
Portugal.
children at serious risk of sexual violence in their own homelands and insecure displacement camps, that we're being left by the wayside. But I don't hear the government talking about that either. So the point I'm making is, if the government made the point that we believe these are the world's most persecuted peoples, the most vulnerable groups, these are the groups that we want to help, but at the moment we're not able to because we have an overburdened asylum system because of what's going on with the small boats emergency. Maybe they'll have a bit more credibility over the issue.
What is wrong with a rule that says if you break the law and enter the country illegally, you will not be granted asylum?
Yeah, but do you know what it is? You know, when people come here, they think they get nothing. And I've seen that within the homes, I've seen these with the young people, the Albanian boys in particular. Enfield's got the highest amount of refugee Albanian boys.
Why are there refugee Albanians, given that Albania is a peaceful country?
Albania, to be fair, hasn't experienced a conflict since the 1997.
And Germany and Sweden have been refusing Albania for many years, and yet we have not kept a lid on this problem. Now, local police authorities are saying that many drug gangs are now run by Albanians.
Well,
now, that doesn't mean that many Albanians that come here are amazing, and many of them are watching the show, and I love Albania, but they shouldn't be perhaps breaking the law and crossing the channel.
No, and I believe so. Listen, and, you know, you get boys coming from Eritrea, and they do come from war-stricken countries, and they deserve the right to be here, to be kept safe, and that's where there is a conflict, there is a dichotomy.
But we can't look after the people in our country
today. Stop that, we can't.
No, but we can't. We're not doing that. Our country is broken. We are completely full, and we need to get it right.
Mark, you made one good point. When you actually look at asylum claims from Albanian nationals, the acceptance rate is far higher in the UK compared to other European countries, and we need to ask why that's the case.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for you, Chris, this is a moral question.
Of course it is, and it's personal as well, because, you know, I work with these boys, young boys. A lot of them are forced over here by drug gangs. They don't want to be here, a lot of them, and a lot of them end up vanishing, disappearing, or end up in jail. You know, and I actually like that about being British. But we open our doors. Everybody gets an opportunity to live a good life.
I think the key thing is we should provide sanctuary for the world's most persecuted people.
I get that, and
but we shouldn't be reduced to being an international outpost which is designed to maximise global welfare at the expense of domestic social cohesion and well-being.
Do you fancy being a UKIP candidate?
I just like staying away from politicians.
You look
I'm just saying, articulate it really well, but I just think, you know, I get it, but I don't look at stuff politically like you two are talking about. For me, it's very personal.
Mark, let's just make a special mention of England beating Argentina in doping. Because I was worried about that, because the build-up to the World Cup for them is not
That's exactly right.
That was a strong victory,
wasn't it?